All right, we're going to go a bit devil's advocate questions. I'm going to do one. You're going to ask him something.
Sure.
But, 50 to 150 grand, not a lot of money. Obviously, if you're covering the overheads, that makes a less of a difference. But, man, I could burn through that pretty quick.
Yeah.
Couple salaries, couple developers, some creative. Sure. And I'm wondering, how do you get by on such a small amount of money? And do you think you've missed a few fish in the net over the years because you didn't have that extra 3 months to get that deal closed, or that extra 20 grand, or that kind of thing?
Yeah, I actually recently wrote an article for Wired magazine complaining about just that. I think in London, startups don't raise enough money. I think it's a problem. So a seed round is probably averaging like 250, 300,000 pounds in London. But there's been this tax break called SEIS, which is, I don't want to get too tricky, but it's encouraged basically high net worth individuals to write off some of their tax by investing in startups. And they've capped the round size for startups raising capital from that source to 150K. So what it's done is drive in more capital at the earlier stages.
At smaller amounts.
Yeah. And so it's the average seed round in London, my guess, is coming down because of that tax break. So it's having the effect of making it harder for a good startup that should be able to raise 3, 4, 500,000. It's making it harder because investors are getting used to terms where they're investing 150 and they're getting more bang for their buck essentially in the startup, right? So I think it's I think it's a problem. Even in LA, where I spent all of December and January.
Tough life.
Primarily on a break, but what I did was like every day I was meeting 3 to 5 people in the startup world there. So VCs, angels, startups. There's a lot of accelerators cropping up there, incubation spaces, and I would say LA as a tech startup scene is behind London, like no disrespect, but just a little bit behind London. However, a seed stage round in LA is $1 million, which is, let's say the equivalent of £1 million in London based on cost of living or thereabouts. Yeah. So that got me thinking about, why has that happened? And it's unfair if you're in London raising these smaller amounts.
Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but to get that second round, it almost like there needs to be an event to get it, right? It's a very psychological thing. Like, we're going for a second round. It's not like I just need another 150 on top of my 150. They always ask why. Like, is that not true?
It is true, yeah. So, I think this SEIS bracket should replace a friends and family round that we spoke about earlier, where people would raise a little bit of money before they have any proof of concept. And they need to convince their co-founder to quit their job. Say, look, we've got 50K in the bank. You can cover your bills at a really basic level, but it gives us a chance, like a small window, 3-6 months to just give this a go, right? And that's where you prove something out. But what the problem is, the jump from there to 300 is not a big jump, right? And so if the seed round was bigger, I think London would be better off for it, where good startups get more money to really prove something. Because talking about being lean and learning from the market, if you only have 150K, you might learn an awful lot in 11 months, and you burn through 150K, and then you go to your investor and say, I've cracked it, I know exactly what I need to do, but I need more money. They're not going to give it to you because you've not proven anything, but you're trying to convince them you've learned something, but you've got nothing to prove it. If you've got 300K in the bank, you get a chance to give it a go, fail, learn from that mistake, and give it another go. And I think it's a problem. I'm not. My point by investing up to 150 was about affordability for me, not this is how much you need to survive. So in answer to your question, I think I wish startups could raise more money, and it would raise the bar, the quality of the startups that do so.
I've heard so much from startups, like just guys, founders, just how much time they waste raising cash, right? So from that perspective, you go and raise $500,000 instead of 300. Well, now you've got yourself maybe a year and a half, or whatever your business is, to really go at it, as opposed to go 6 months and then spend 3 months raising.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? You're not working on the business, because fundraising can be a full-time sort of job for a founder, which is not always the best resource to spend your time.
But you're capping your investments at 150.
Yeah.
But you're different because you're providing an environment and overheads and that kind of thing.
So no, we're different because we appreciate that the round shouldn't be just 150. We appreciate we're going to share that deal, right? So if someone comes to us and we think they've really got something interesting there, and they say we're raising just 150, I'd probably encourage them to raise double that and let me help you introduce you to other angels or early stage investors, seed funds, so that you've got a longer runway.
Okay, cool.
Really interesting about London community, I find, is there's a lot of camaraderie.
Entrepreneurs for government, they're really hacking the system.
Could be a little like that. And you're talking about like free flow of ideas.